What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kings Report with me, Vincent Miracle, here for Fansided.com, GoldenGateSports.com, and SatKingsNation.com. Joining me, as always, is Ryan Hernandez. Ryan, how are you going to spend your Memorial Day weekend?
Well, probably might go out of town, might just sit at home, barbecue, something similar to that. What do you think?
Hey, Ryan, Hey, Ryan, I got a question for you. If I told you, we had the technical difficulties during our live shoot of the lottery, so whoever were wondering, hey, I thought you guys said you guys were gonna do a live lottery, live lottery coverage, and I was like, yeah, we were, and we tried multiple times. We tried. We had some of the worst technical difficulties you could imagine. I don't know what happened, but yeah, we had one of the worst technical difficulties the show has ever had. We had the show going on. We were doing great for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then YouTube crashed, Google Hangouts crashed. I don't know what happened. That crashed. Completely kicked me off of the Hangout. I couldn't get back in. We started the show over, and then it all happened again. And it was literally one of the worst things ever as I completely moved the camera mid-conversation. Anyways, we have now had a few days, Ryan, to really, hear the news that the Kings are the number 8 pick in the draft. I mean, give me your initial reaction, and then now how you felt these past few days to really, dwell on it.
Very good question. I was very disappointed on them dropping so far. I didn't think that they were going to drop that far in the lottery, and it kind of made me rethink all the picks that I was thinking that the Kings would get. So now, and especially the Kings redid that, and they say that they're going to look into possibly trading that pick. So it was bad all around. And now that I looked again at some prospects, I do see that there are some there, but it's still kind of iffy at the 8th spot.
Yeah, see, man, like I said, guys, sorry about that whole live coverage thing. We were trying to do it. We tried to make it happen, and, YouTube didn't let us or Google didn't let us. But if you were to see how angry I was at the fact that the Kings had a, over 50% chance of getting at least a 7th pick in this draft, and they go back a spot. I was just very frustrated because they went back a spot. But that was just because of the homer in me, the Kings fan in me, who is so mad. Now that I've had time to really, sit and dwell and look and really evaluate this class again, and even more intensely now because it's so close, it's nearly a month away, I'm not that angry. I mean, the Kings were projected to get number 7. I mean, it was hoped to get higher, so it's not like they fell too far back. I mean, they just fell one spot of their projected draft spot. I mean, a lot of fans who messaged me and stuff, the reason why they were mad was because the Lakers got the pick that the Kings were projected to get, and no matter what anyone thinks, whether the Lakers have no rivalry with Sacramento. Sacramento has a rivalry with the LA Lakers, and that's always going to happen. I mean, until something crazy happens and no one cares about the Lakers-Kings rivalry that Sacramento cares about. So the fact that LA got that 7th pick, I think, really frustrated Kings fans just because it's the Lakers. But, you look at it, like you said, Ryan, there's prospects there at that spot. You have players that are, Marcus Smart's still there, Aaron Gordon's possibly still there, Doug McDermott's still there. You have players that could come in and, possibly impact this team. So, other than the Kings, Ryan, I mean, were there any other shocks to you in this draft? or this draft lottery that where you were like, wow, okay, they kind of fell, or wow, okay, how about this? Who were the winners and losers in this draft for you? So let's hear your winners out of this draft.
Well, the winners would be Cleveland. Obviously, they got the #1 pick, and they shouldn't have gotten anything near that. So they were
A
a winner.
1.7% chance.
Yeah,
That's crazy. They won the lottery, literally.
yeah. So they were a winner. The Celtics, I would say, are a winner because I don't think that they were even supposed to go that far. So, and then there was the Kings were a loser in this draft, sadly, and another loser I think would be the Bucks. The Bucks were a loser because they were projected 25 and they dropped below the team that had 1.7%. So yeah, I would say that they were a loser in that respect. So those were my losers and winners of this year's draft.
Yeah, the obvious winner is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, 1.7% chance, and they literally won the lottery. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years in a row, back-to-back seasons, they get the #1 pick. That's like 3 in the last 5 years, and I think you told me it was 4 in the last 7. So that is some, crazy luck that they have somewhere in Cleveland. They must be drinking some juice. Those guys are the ultimate winners. The ultimate loser in this draft is hands down Detroit. Detroit was projected to be, in this lottery, around, in the top 10 around picks. And I believe because of the trade that they made to get Josh Smith, they lost their pick. So now they don't even have a draft pick in this lottery at all. So they were there on TV, but they didn't get anything. They were there to be there. They lost their pick. So the loser out of this entire lottery, if you had to call one, is hands down the Detroit Pistons. To have a potential lottery pick and the season that you had in the East, you thought they had something, then they lose it, and then you really can't build around 3 players who need the ball in their hands, especially with Brandon Jennings and Josh Smith. It's sad for the Detroit Pistons. I don't see the Kings as a losing team. Like I said, it's more of a disappointment in more than it is a loss, because the Kings were, like I said before, they were projected to be 7, and they only dropped down 1 spot. So it's not like they dropped to 10. If they dropped to 10, it's a losing. They dropped down to 8. It's really not that crazy. It's just another disappointing lottery happened for the Kings. But we've kind of touched on it a little bit, Ryan. Or you kind of brought it up. As soon as that draft happened, the Kings announced that they put this pick on the trading block literally minutes after they heard they were the #8 pick. So how did you feel after you heard about that?
Well, it kind of tells me that they were hoping to get a little higher, and that their pick is probably not going to be their prospect that they've been wanting. So they're testing the market to just see how much that pick is worth on the open market, and if they don't like the value of it, then they'll just pick where they stay, where they lay. So I think it's actually a pretty good thing for for the GM to do that, because it is in that question mark spot, the 8th pick. It's a very question mark spot because where it is, it's in between the mid first round and in the really good 5 range. So it's in between.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, that kind of I kind of have that same feel as you, as it was a good choice to put it on. I think they hoped it was a lot higher. I mean, there was such a, high hope that the Kings were going to be hopefully like a top 5 pick. I think that's what a lot of people were hoping, like, oh, the city council meeting's here. They're about to get this new arena. And for those who thought it was rigged, you're like, oh, new arena, Kings are trying to build, maybe they'll get hired. I mean, for those who think that the NBA lottery is rigged, think about it now. I mean, none of the top teams really jumped up to the top except for Cleveland, who had that 1.7% chance, but they're not a big market team. Lakers are still at 7, so I mean, is it really rigged? I mean, that's your opinion, that's your thought. But anyways, yeah, I like how you said it. I mean, it was a good choice to automatically do it. The number 8 spot is still a risky, spot to be in. It's kind of like a sit and wait decision. The biggest thing I took away from it was don't jump the gun too soon. Wait till draft day. I know that the Kings are probably going to be taking a lot of offers, or hearing a lot of offers, all the way until draft day, and I think the best scenario for them would be just to wait until that day because you don't know what can happen. I mean, Joel Embiid, there's already reports that his backs are becoming a concern. So if let's say he drops to 5, what are the players that go 1, 2, 3, 4? What if he drops to 6? I mean, you don't know where he's going to go. He could do that Nerlens Noel thing that just happened last year because of his ACL injury, that he had in college. So there's so many question marks all the way around. Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see what's going to happen. I want to ask you, Ryan, who do you think are some potential trading partners the Kings should look at?
Well, they could look at maybe the Grizzlies because they had another disappointing season. They didn't get where they wanted to go. So I say the Grizzlies because they might be looking to move some of their older pieces, move some, to get some younger pieces because they are getting up there in age. They're key pieces.
I mean, they made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, they did. But again, it's disappointing that they lost in so early. They had all these good players, and yet they were taken out so early. So I think that they probably look to move a piece or two to get some younger pieces to go back into the playoffs and be successful in there. And then there is the Timberwolves. I think that they're going to have a lot of moving pieces, especially because of the Kevin Love situation, that they're moving out their star for whatever they can get for him because he's going to leave anyways on the offseason. So, next offseason. So I think that there will be more than one moving piece over there, and the Kings could pick up some good pieces in that trade. So, or a trade in there. So those are the teams that I would be looking for trades because they will have moving pieces this offseason.
Yeah, see, I just wrote a piece recently on SacKingsNation.com of 3 of the trade scenarios the Kings should keep in mind. And both the Memphis Grizzlies and the Minnesota Timberwolves were both teams that I think that have players that the Kings should look at. And most definitely they should look at defensive players, and both teams have one with Corey Brewer in Minnesota and Tony Allen, which also they've already been stated that they want to look for veteran help. Both these guys are veterans. Both these guys can play the 2 and 3 spot, although Allen's a little bit smaller than Brewer. I mean, he's so much stronger. And honestly, I actually think they could be a little bit the same size. I could be wrong. I'm going to have to check up on that. But anyways, Tony Allen is a more, tenacious defender, while Corey Brewer has a better jump shot and can get up and down the floor a whole lot faster. So these are 2 players that, hey, maybe Minnesota's looking to move a couple pieces. Maybe Memphis is maybe looking to, trade a couple pieces. And it's not like if the Kings trade this pick for, let's say, Tony Allen, and I wrote this in the article that you guys should go check out on SacKingsNation.com, is just because they give up their pick doesn't mean they can't receive a first-round pick back. So let's say they go and trade with Memphis, for example. Memphis has the 22nd pick. So Kings can drop down to number 22. You know who's around number 22? Tyler Ennis is around number 22. And the Kings need a point guard who looks to distribute the basketball and get this Kings team out of a one-on-one type of situation. And again, I'll bring this up as well. Speaking on one-on-one situations, the Kings had 3 players who averaged 20 points per game: Rudy Gay, DeMarcus Cousins, and Isaiah Thomas. The only team in the NBA to ever do that, right, or to do that this season. And then Jason Thompson comes out and says, and just basically starts venting about, hey, they're doing all that, but how are the other people, when needed, supposed to get involved in games? Coach Michael Malone has even said it. It's a blessing and a curse to have 3 players do that when you need other players to get involved. So what I'm all trying to say is Tyler Ennis can be a player that distributes and moves the ball around and gets it out of that one-on-one situation that they're always looking to. When you have Isaiah Thomas, who's a one-on-one shoot-first player, and he'll admit that. He just recently admitted it in an interview where he said he wants to be wanted as a score-first point guard. And then you have DeMarcus Cousins, who's going to be the focal point of this team. He's going to need the ball in his hands, whether it's in the low post or in the mid or by the free throw line in mid-range area. Rudy Gay's going to need the ball in his hands. So if you have a point guard who can distribute the ball as well, finding these other guys, maybe that's something you look forward to when you move a little bit down. And so that's something interesting to look at when you're thinking about trading a pick. You can still get first-round pick value back or second-round pick value. You never know. You can always think about moving pieces. You don't always have to think. There's so many one-dimensional people who think and say, hey, you're giving up this pick. You're giving up too much. Well, no, because you can still get a pick back. And I just think that is one that is really, really interesting to me, is getting someone like a Tony Allen or a Corey Brewer, someone who could come in and become this team's defensive anchor, because last season it was DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins was this Kings defensive anchor, and I'm sorry, that is sad to say. DeMarcus Cousins is no defensive anchor. So, I mean, if the Kings can find that type of player, I really think that's what they should go for. One trade that I wanted to bring up to you, Ryan, that I saw on Bleacher Report that really caught my eye was the one with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I brought up a trade for the Philadelphia 76ers, and it was to move up. My trade scenario that is on, again, SatKingsNation.com, people go check that out, was the Kings trade away Jason Thompson, the number 8 pick, and Ben McLemore with Isaiah Thomas, I believe I was. Those 4 players, which clears cap space. I believe you get Jason Richardson, the number 3 pick. It might not even been Isaiah Thomas in the trade, but it was somewhere in that ballpark. I don't have the paper right out in front of me because I wrote it, and now it's up, so you guys can check it out. But anyways, they move up to the number 3 pick, and they clear cap space. So that's why I brought up that trade. Bleacher Report brought up a great trade that this is the one I wanted to ask you about, was the Kings get Thaddeus Young and a second-round pick. They give up the number 8 pick, and I believe Jason Terry, Ray McCallum, and maybe Thompson. But, I mean, what would you take? Would you go after Thaddeus Young with your number 8 pick?
Well, Thaddeus can do a lot for the Kings. He could score, he can spread the floor because of his shooting ability, and he can steal the ball at a very high rate. He was ranked in the top 10 on steals per game, so he is a good defensive guy, at least in the steals category. I don't know how good he is in with blocks, but I know he does steal the ball really well. So it could be a good situation for the Kings to pick up a player that is like that. But then again, it's another scorer that's looking to get the ball and score, so it might be a little bit of an issue with moving the ball around, but you never know.
Yeah, for me, it's either one. It's one of those things where he could be a good fit defensively, but at the same time, he's kind of a tweener. You don't know if he's a power forward or a small forward, although he can play both positions. He's not really a strongly gifted offensive player. But he can get to the basket with his strength and with his quickness that he has for his size. But at the same time, you already have Derek Williams. You already have Rudy Gay. Is he someone that the Kings really need? Defensively, hands down, they do. He's a get-in-your-face, hand-out in the passing lanes type of defender, which the Kings do need. But you already have these. Rudy Gay can play the 3 and the 4. Derek Williams can play the 3 or the 4. You know, you have Travis Outlaw who can play the 2 and the 3. You know, so you have already these players that are so many tweeners. I don't know if – I mean, I like the deal because you clear cap and you get you get Thaddeus Young, who's a player that can lead defensively. But is it the right scenario because of the roster that they already have is what's really the big question. But I want to know what you guys think. I want you guys to send in some trade offers that you guys would do. And I want to see them right here in the comment section. You can tweet them to Ryan and I. Ryan, your Twitter handle is?
At King Nandez Ryan.
And so mine is at VM Center, or just tweet the show at SKN Articles. We'd love to get them. You can email them into us, sknarticles@gmail.com, and maybe your trade will end up on this show. So bring them on, and I want to see what you guys all think. I want to get into this just a little bit because we'll get into a bit more on Monday, and I have some special news at the end for people for about Monday's show. So, Ryan, give me your, because it's the number 8 pick, top 3 potential players that you think the Kings should automatically, hands down, work out because they have this number 8 pick.
Okay. There's always the two that everyone's going to put on their list, which is Aaron Gordon and Marcus Smart. They're very good athletes. They play defense. They can score. They're good. And then my third one would be Zach LaVine. I think he needs to be worked out because he has so much upside. He has so much potential. He can shoot. He's athletic. He's a good player. He might turn out to be a steal in this draft because of his potential. He needs to be worked out.
Yeah, see, I like Zach LaVine. I have been watching a lot of college basketball, and the obvious choices, of course, are Aaron Gordon needs to be worked out. Marcus Smart needs to come to Sacramento. The Kings need to see what he's all about. They need to see who Noah Vonleh is as a player. They need to see who Doug McDermott is. I think that's one player, a prospect that they need to see. Is he really this rebounder that he was in college? He has a high basketball IQ. He averaged around 7 rebounds a game. He's definitely a power forward who spreads the floor. But again, do the Kings need that? That's a big question mark. So you need to see what he's really all about. I think Doug McDermott is the guy you look at. I think Nick Stauskas, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's a pure shooter. I think you need to check him out. And I know a lot of you guys know who I'm talking about. I think another player that you need to work out is Tyler Ennis. I think Tyler Ennis is definitely a player you need to look at. He's a player that distributes the basketball at a very efficient rate. I think he was ranked number 1 in turnovers to assist ratio, or assist to turnover ratio. So ranked number 1 in the rankings, in college basketball. You give it a look. You need a passer on this team. You need shooters on this team. This Kings were one of the worst 3-point shooters in the league. They gave away all their shooters. They gave away Jimmer Fredette. They gave away Marcus Thornton. Outlaw was the best shooter next to Isaiah Thomas. So you need someone who can spot up and shoot. Doug McDermott can be that. Possibly Gary Harris could be that. You need to look at these type of players. Zach LaVine, he doesn't have like a pure jump shot, but he can develop one. He can knock down threes. And so, and the one thing I do like about Zach LaVine is that, although he's pretty young, I believe he's pretty young, he's pretty smart, on the floor. He gets there pretty quick. And I don't know if he's really a point guard or a shooting guard. I think he worked out with the point guards during the combine, but I think he's a shooting guard. And another player that I posted up about earlier was Elfrid Payton. I think if the Kings can get late in the draft, which is a possibility if they trade back, I think they look at him. He plays some intense defense. He's not really offensively gifted, but can pass the ball. He's a great, he plays defense. And he can, that's what the Kings need. He's high energy. So those are really the potential players that I really see, Ryan really sees. Let us know what you think. What players did we miss? Leave your comments in the comment section below. All right, guys, it's time to get into the fan questions where you guys actually left questions for us. Ryan posted it on the Kings app. We were taking your questions. And, we got one question there. If you want to get your question on the show, you can email your question to sknarticles@gmail.com, or you can tweet the show at SKN Articles, or again, you can tweet Ryan and I, and Ryan's Twitter handle is at KingNandezRyan. Myself is at VM Center. So go ahead. You have all these resources to find us online or on the Kings app. So be sure to get in your questions before on either Monday's show or Friday's show. Send them in anytime. Leave them in the comment section. We love hearing them. I think it makes our show better when you guys get more involved. So, all right, Ryan, we have one question of the day. Do you have it up, or I think I have it up as well. So, I mean, if you want to read it, you can. If you want me to read it, that's fine.
I'll read the question. It's from Let's Go Sack. Thank you for the question, Let's Go Sack. He says, it's probably an unrealistic situation, but if you got to choose between Isaiah Thomas, Eric Bledsoe, and Kyle Lowry as your point guard, who would you choose?
Ooh, that is a tough question. Now, I believe Lowry and Bledsoe are restricted free agent, and so is Isaiah Thomas. So all three are restricted free agents. So no matter what their teams have the chance to really re-sign wherever they want to go if they sign a contract elsewhere. I know Phoenix has been, determined and constantly saying they are going to re-sign Eric Bledsoe no matter the cost. So if I had to choose a point guard out of these three, I think the player I choose is Eric Bledsoe. I think Eric Bledsoe still has potential to grow. He has crazy athleticism. He plays defense. He has such a high motor. Even when he was a backup for Chris Paul, and Chris Paul got that shoulder injury where he had to miss a few weeks, Bledsoe came in and did work. Jamal Crawford, I believe it was Jamal Crawford, stated after he left, he was a mini LeBron. I mean, if you get that compliment from someone else in the league as being nicknamed a little LeBron at the point guard position, I mean, that's crazy. I think he still has room to grow. I think Eric Bledsoe has a lot of skill. So if I had to choose between the three, as much as I love Isaiah Thomas, I put Kyle Lowry at number 3. I like Kyle Lowry, but he's my third option. I think I go Bledsoe, Thomas, Lowry. Ryan, what do you think? Who's the first pick you choose out of those 3 players?
Yeah, it's a hard decision, but you kind of took my pick. You kind of took my pick. I was going to choose Bledsoe as well because, he spent the first couple of years of his career under one of the smartest, if not the smartest point guard in the league as Chris Paul. So he got to learn under Chris Paul his first couple of years, which is huge for a player to learn under such a good player. My second reason why I would choose Bledsoe over the other 2 is because he plays defense. He plays very good defense. He is an athlete that will never stop playing. He has that motor that never stops, similar to Isaiah Thomas, but he plays defense. He's more athletic than both of the other guys, and he just has the understanding of the game a lot better than the other 2. He knows his role on the team, and he looks so smooth when he plays. He knows what he's doing. When he comes off screens, he comes off very well. Or when he comes around dribbling up on top, he doesn't force the shot right away. He goes and surveys the floor. He makes sure that everyone's in the spot where he wants them. He makes sure the play is going. And then if he decides that he's open enough, then he takes the shot. But he thinks before he does things, and he thinks 2 to 3 plays ahead. And that's why I like Eric Bledsoe over the other guys, is because he's just a complete player. Just such a complete player.
All right, guys, that's our episode for today of the King's Court. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Ryan, thank you for joining the show. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Let us know what you guys think. Are we wrong? Do you have Isaiah Thomas ahead? I mean, I can understand it. Isaiah Thomas is a great player in this league, and Eric Bledsoe, you know, he has those knee injury history. So I mean, let us know what you think. Or do you think, you know, Isaiah Thomas is ahead of Eric Bledsoe? Is Kyle Lowry over ahead of both of these guys? Bring in your trade scenarios. Tweet us, email us. Ryan, let people know where they can find you online.
They can find me on the Kings app at as King Nandez, or they can find me on Twitter at King Nandez Ryan. Check out the website. It is a good website at sackkingsnation.com, where you can find all sorts of good articles, and you can find previous episodes of the Kings Court. So go and check that out, Kings fans.
Definitely. And you guys can find me on all the multiple websites, fansided.com, goldengatesports.com, and sackkingsnation.com. We've just started this new thing where on the Thursdays, it's now Throwback Thursday, so we're going to be bringing up new things from the past. You know, this recent one from yesterday was brought back up Chris Webber. You know, how he got here, when he left, and all that thing. So it's a good read. You guys go check that out. We're going to start draft prospect profiles, where we're going to start giving out names, their strengths, their weaknesses, and the reasons why the Kings should look at them. That's going to be fun. Monday's show, this is what I was getting, the special announcement that we have. Fox Sports, Sam Amico joins the show. He's going to give his take on the Kings season, his take on the draft and what to expect, and even more news surrounding even the NBA. So it's going to be a great show on Monday, straight interview with Sam Amico. And yeah, guys, so again, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Hit the like button, share this video, tweet us on Twitter, email the show, leave your comments in the comment section, and until next time, Kings fans, peace out. Throw up the deuces, Ryan.